Jungle.
Hey, what's up, you guys? This is another episode of Movie Talk. I am joined by Keanu. So, it's a great week because it's E3, baby.
Ooh, I love it.
We just been texting each other, which is kind of funny, and we have Square Enix, which I'm waiting for the fucking Avengers game to come out and see
I
how
can't
that
wait to
turns
see.
out.
I can't wait to see more. I'm excited.
But like, what stood out so far with E3? Because I'm trying to like think about it because like I don't think the major names came, and I mean we have Nintendo tomorrow, so
Yeah,
I'm really waiting for that.
Yeah, we have Nintendo tomorrow. Sony announced, I think maybe 6 or 7 months ago they weren't going to do a conference this year,
Which is sad.
Yeah, it's a kind of lackluster. It's kind of it's kind of BS for them to do that, in my opinion at least. I always look forward to E3. I always look forward to everybody bringing their A game. So for Sony to just kind of ditch us out of nowhere, that was kind of weak. Everyone's assuming it's because honestly they don't like they have their PS5 that they must not be ready to show yet, and then they must not have that many PS4 games coming in between that. Like for the last like 2 years they've shown Last of Us 2, and I love that game. Mm-hmm. But they've shown that they've shown Ghost of whatever last Ghost of Tsushima, whatever you call it. Yeah. But besides those two games, I mean they have other games, don't get me wrong, but like it's just one of those things where it's like it must be the case of they want to amp up their own publicity around the PS5, and so because of that they're just, I don't know, I guess that's why they set it out. But in regards to things that stood out the most this year so far, every year I'm most excited for Nintendo. I've been a Nintendo fanboy since I was a kid, and just like their titles always have a way of just making me excited. So obviously tomorrow it's a big day tomorrow. 40 minutes at noon. It's going to be at noon. But of everything announced so far, trying to think. We messaged about a lot.
I know we did.
Think of if there's anything that really stuck with me, anything that
well, Doom was cool. It didn't blow me away, but it was like it made me excited,
Well, yeah. So my go-to answer is Cyberpunk. That like literally just. But I mean, it's nothing new. We've known about it. I was already very excited about it. Now John Wick is in it. I'm not even gonna call him Keanu Reeves. I'm just gonna call him John Wick. Now John Wick is in it. And I love Keanu Reeves. So I mean, that scene right there, like that when they showed John Wick at the end, I was like, oh my! Like I actually let out a whoop. I was like, oh. So that right there is what is so far probably one of my biggest highlights. And then it was neat that Xbox showed more about their talked a little bit about their console, but I mean they didn't really do much with that, so that wasn't anything too amazing. And I did enjoy, I believe it or not, I actually enjoyed Lego Star Wars being announced and Lego Forza add-on, just because I love like Lego Star Wars, like the complete saga.
They were so fun.
They're so fun. They're so and they're like literally, if you look online, they're so meme worthy. Like everyone quotes them or everyone references them, like studs and all that. So that was like just a small like, oh that's neat. And Bethesda, I was appreciative that they were kind of like joking, but like upfront about the fact that they got ragged on for pretty much a lackluster launch for Fallout 76 and
and they admitted it. It was pretty funny.
It's just funny because like I played that game actually I think the most out of all my games this year, and it's just I had a friend who had it and we just played so much, and like the game wasn't amazing, but just they made the right amount of like open world type environment that we were able to just kind of like land in it and just do dumb stuff and laugh. But yeah, it was
it's still early, so far it's whatever.
But you got Square Enix after we record this.
I know. I'm so excited.
First look at Avengers, so that's gonna be all of it. That's gonna be very exciting.
That has been long awaited for so long, and the teaser trailer was nothing. And I agree. I think Cyberpunk was. I'm trying to think back to our text messages. I'm like, I think Cyberpunk was the only real standout.
Right. That's what I was trying to think of.
And plus, like, the graphics look cleaner. Like the new trailer they dropped, it just looks so much cleaner, even though it's just been a year. But we didn't see gameplay. We just like saw a lot of trailers and stuff. But yeah,
the thing about that game is, and we'll see how true it is, but CD Projekt Red is actually pretty. I mean, in my experience, pretty upfront. The thing about that game is the switch from like in-game cinematics to actual gameplay is supposed to be minimal. It's supposed to be like one of those things where like it doesn't even look different when it switches from a cutscene to gameplay. So it looks like hopefully, from the sounds of it, gameplay will be very similar to what we saw. I mean, obviously a little bit downgraded, but very similar.
Well, yeah, including Avengers itself. Like Cyberpunk was delayed for so long, dude. I remember seeing the first trailer long ass time ago, and they just dropped.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
They delayed it, and it kind of was like a ghost for a while. So, I mean, it's good seeing it come back. But I'm really excited to see what Nintendo's gonna bring out the heat, because I already expect Pokemon gonna be there, Luigi's Mansion, Link's Awakening, that remake. So it's like, and plus we're gonna get the new versions of the Switch coming out. Like there's a gamer version and there's a cheaper version apparently. So I hopefully they reveal that. Like
they're not. They
like.
said they're not gonna reveal it. They said it's only gonna be software, but we'll see what happens.
But it's coming out in July, isn't it?
Well, that's the rumor, but
Okay.
honestly, it's been a rumor that the hardware revisions have been rumored for like the last year. So
Okay.
I do believe that they're making it. I don't know about the July release date. I think that might be getting pushed.
Yeah, it looks a little too soon, but I mean, we have less than 24 hours to find out. But we'll switch off. We'll push this to bonus round, and we're gonna go to movie news. So another thing that dropped this week is Quentin Tarantino saw the Zorro and Django comic run being produced by DC Vertigo, and he actually wanted to hire a writer to pen a movie adaptation. So right now he's doing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is his 9th film, and he wants to retire after 10. So he has one film left to do it if he follows up with what he said. But when we're mixing it up, like the rumors with Star Trek, is he going to do that? But I would love to see a Django Zorro crossover, because like Zorro, when I remember, came out, like it was such a 90s, like early 2000s movie. It was a PG-13 thing, but if we bumped it up like to rated R to Django, I can see that blending in so well. But what are your thoughts on like a Zorro and Django like crossover event, which should be brought up by Quentin himself?
Yeah, it sounds like a really cool idea. I didn't get a chance to read the comic, but I knew of it when it was released. I definitely think that the two characters would mesh really well. From the sounds of it, they mesh really well in the comic, and I don't know. I don't think he's gonna retire at 10, just because I mean the guy is still.
He's still killing it.
Yeah. So like I get why he said that, but I think it would be a disservice to just stop after this next whatever film he does after Once Upon a Time. I just think that would be. I mean, sure, so maybe slow down if you want, but I think to completely stop would just be kind of ridiculous. But I think it's a really cool idea. I really love Django. I thought it was a really fun film. And I love, I remember Zorro when I was younger. It's a pretty interesting property. I found it interesting when I was younger. So, and I love crossovers.
Yeah, of course.
They're definitely they used to be the thing that you did when you were losing interest, but now with the cinematic universes popping up, it's gone from being the last ditch attempt to being the goal, like the end goal. So. I think the idea is really cool, and I would be interested to see where this goes and if he really follows through with it.
Yeah, I do agree what you said, because it would be a shame if he did stop after 10, because after Once Upon a Time, he has one more film, and then the Star Trek news, which is like, I thought he's going to follow through with it, because, Star Trek needs, like, it definitely needs a revitalization, new blood for the Trekkies. Would they get Antonio Banderas? That'd be crazy to like come back.
Yeah, I thought that'd be
I'd
cool,
be so
man.
for
I
that.
think that'd be cool.
Because imagine, okay, so like we're obviously movie people and we look up the news, but imagine like how a crowd would react that like all of a sudden like say like Zorro gets caught and then they take the bag off his head. It's Antonio Banderas, and then all of a sudden you see Jamie Foxx. You're like, wait, hold the fucking phone. This is a Django Unchained Zorro crossover. I think that'd be such a crazy idea, and it's so Tarantino, because it's like nuts to like think about. I don't know, but it's like you said with the the crossovers in the Marvel universe. And now that I think about it, Freddy vs. Jason was a pioneer of crossovers.
Yeah, it really was.
Really was.
Absolutely. Yep.
Even especially before Freddy vs. Jason Goes to Hell. You see Freddy's claw come out and get Jason's hockey mask. Like,
yeah, they set that up. They set that up.
They set that up
a long time.
A long ass time, because that came out in the 90s, and Freddy vs. Jason was like 2002, I'd say. And I'm for it. Quentin, you can do this for the rest of your life. You're not an athlete. You don't. There's no
Right, your
age
body's
limit.
not getting like destroyed doing this.
Exactly. You're not Joss Whedon making Age of Ultron, getting old and getting beat up physically. But I hope he stays because Hateful Eight. I love Tarantino films, even though how crazy they are. Like I just recently watched Kill Bill, and it's just such a masterpiece in my eyes, and it has his stamp all over it. But it being a property like Zorro that's not his, and like I think they would just let him have total control because Zorro is not going to go anywhere else if this never happens.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So we can like talk about Dark Phoenix. I still haven't seen it. I don't plan on seeing it.
I don't seeing it.
Yeah, no, I was talking to my boy and I was like, he texted me. He's like, "Did you see Dark Phoenix?" I'm like, "No." Why? He's like, "Well, I think I'm gonna wait for like Redbox." I'm like,
That's correct. That's the correct thing to do.
but I was like talking. I'm like, maybe we could go see a $5 movie night at AMC. But then and then all the reviews came out, and I'm like, this isn't even worth my $5, like, or even of a 2-hour movie. So it's at a 23% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's a 43% at Metacritic, and it actually opened up with 33 million domestically, which rounds about 140 million worldwide. So it was actually predicted to make 170 million. So this is actually like the lowest for the franchise. And right now has a B- cinema score, so that's the lowest for the franchise. But there's like a lot of things that like have been coming up since then. Like apparently some of the actors that were on set, like Jessica Chastain and Sophia Turner, and they had quotes saying Simon and I would sit down for 2 hours every day and just comb through each page of the script. Turner revealed, adding that there was rewriting being done all the time. So they're pretty much saying it was rewritten on a daily basis. It's just a complete mess, and it's a shame. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. But the mouse is gonna take over from here. I'm just kind of glad it's over. But we still have New Mutants, so don't get too caught up. But what are your thoughts on like Dark Phoenix being on this level right now?
We called it. Everyone called it. It was.
Yeah.
It was. I can't put into words how expected it was. So I mean, I don't feel bad. I don't feel anything. It's just like it was a dud, and it was expected. It has a strong cast. I mean, everyone on there's everyone in it is.
Cast.
But Apocalypse was mediocre. It definitely with the whole younger generation era of X-Men. It went downhill from the start. Like First Class was really good. Breath of Fresh Air. Then Days of Future Past was like really good. Then Apocalypse was like okay. I mean, I guess. And this was like, I don't need this. So I wish I could be more surprised than I already am. I will say that the whole rewriting thing is like you said, isn't a good sign. It's just funny because like I was reading an interview about Deadwood. I just finished binge watching the original series before I watched the movie, and one of the big things about it was the director of that constantly rewrote stuff. Like literally, like they would like film they would shoot out the script. He would read it, but like, you know what, let's do this. But they did an interview, and Ian McShane, from John Wick and the new Hellboy, he was like, listen, like this guy, when he does a rewrite, it's because he thought of something so much better. Like he thought he originally wrote something good, and now he thought of something even better.
Okay.
And it's like rewrites are only good when you have someone who works like that, who's literally who's like a master at their craft, and they have a cast that they can trust to be able to get new lines and deliver them like that. So which is a long-winded way of saying that nobody in this team was prepared for that. No one in this team is known for that. So to hear that they were rewriting stuff every day is just like, you should have cut while you were ahead, man. You should just made this like a TV movie or something. I don't know.
Well, it sucks because Simon Kinberg's and like
he's
his first film. Yeah, he's a hit. Yeah, as a writer. Yeah. And it's like there's more quotes saying like you could have a conversation and something comes from that, and then the next morning Simon would show up to work and say, "Hey, I wrote some pages that I think could be interesting for this direction we're going." So it's like, fuck, man, like this is how
sounds
you
like it
Marvel
sounds
runs a tough
exactly
ship.
like it. No, sorry, but it literally like it's just so funny because I just read this article like I just today, and it's like it sounds like he wants to be that type of director, but it's his first time, so he shouldn't be doing that. He sounds like he wants to be,
Hmm.
you know, I'm just saying Deadwood because I just read the article and this the director is known for that. Like I think it's David Meach or something. Like he want it sounds like Simon wants to be that type of director, but in an instance where this is your first time directing,
Not gonna
um,
happen.
you know, you can't do that. You just can't. It's not. And I also think because he's a screenwriter, he probably is like used to that idea, and it looks like it sounds like it didn't mesh. It didn't work out, and you know that's a shame.
Yeah, it's his first time, and it's like it's a transit because every part's different, and transitioning's different, and so you're telling me even though that guy rewrote for Deadwood, it was amazing. You could say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, he doesn't have Simon's not a vet. He's a rookie to this directing game. And we can even add on because remember last week we talked about that the ending be too similar to another movie and they had to change it. So
Yeah.
that movie they were talking about was actually Captain Marvel and some shades of Civil War. So they have a quote that was given out. It says, "My original ending didn't have the entire X family together the way they are in the film now. More than Captain Marvel, you could see a lot of Civil War in that ending. Usually these big, huge action movies have that climatic moment in the third act. I love the way that Civil War had its big action set piece where everyone's facing off towards the end of the second act rather in the third. So that after that huge battle, you're left with the Winter Soldier, Captain America, and Iron Man." He kept on. This is from Kimberg himself. So he kept on saying, "It's the telescope down view of the raw emotions, and I love how intimate that was. That's what I was going for in the Dark Phoenix's ending, even though it might have looked like Captain Marvel for about 2 minutes." So, like to his quote, I think the comparisons to how close it wasn't kind of like that huge. So like people were blowing it up to be like James McAvoy because coming from celebrities that you kind of think like, oh, they literally copied the shit out of it like scene for scene, but I kind of understand what he wanted to do with the pacing and of things. But even though we already are looking down at this movie even before we even seen it, like I guess that's okay. I mean, I think the surprising part is Civil War, but I don't know what your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, you and me both hypothesized that it was Captain Marvel that he was referring to. I think it probably would have did them good if to follow through with that idea. I think just like thinking about it, it makes sense, and it sounds like an interesting prospect of like the entire X-Men, being in that second, going into third act, whatever big battle, and then as it reaches the end, it dwindles down to Magneto, Professor X, and Jean. Like I feel like that probably would have been a very character-driven third act, and it also kind of would have made sense as a conclusion to the X-Men films. So it sounds like he had a good idea, and for some, I don't know if it was the suits or if it was just he himself I don't know if he himself got a little, nervous not having the big ending, the big climactic ending, but it's a shame he couldn't follow through because I think regardless of the parallels to Civil War, it would have been a good thing. It would have been a good thing to be compared to Civil War because that movie's great.
Yeah, I love how we say the suits. Like that's a new thing right there.
Because that's it, man.
It's true. It's true. They're the ones that control and they think they know the property and what the fans want. But yet again,
which
like
directly feeds into our next bit.
Yeah, and a perfect example is literally the whole X-Men franchise. It's not catered to the fans. It's kind of just like I don't know if you've heard this analogy that like, oh, Singer makes good mutant movies but not X-Men movies. So it's like they kind of just didn't embrace what Marvel did is like as the actual property, basing the suits on the adaptation for the movie suits. And going back to like how much it debuted Dark Phoenix, actually compared to Apocalypse, it was 65.7 million. So it dropped obviously. But like before Apocalypse, it was even debuted. You can't like. Are you in agreement with me when I say like I was really excited for Apocalypse because they killed Days of Future Past and like nailed it?
I was excited about the idea, and then they showed the first
the
stills. Yeah, and it was like,
he looked like Ivan Ooze.
Yeah, like I don't know why they couldn't. I mean, why didn't they just directly
transition
translate
Apocalypse?
Yeah, what?
He's a fucking tank.
Yeah.
He's huge. He's an alien. He's huge. It's like, yeah, I think that's what killed it. Even though, like, hats off to Poe Dameron, like he's a great actor. Whatever his
Oscar
name is,
Isaac is
Oscar
amazing.
Isaac. Yeah, Oscar Isaac's a
I
great
love that guy.
actor, and he did what he could do. But yeah, the first pictures, like the Entertainment Weekly photos, that I think that's what killed everyone. And even though Singer did such a good job with Days of Future Past, like, could he do it again? And like we
Nah,
look at his track
I'm good.
record,
I don't need any more Singer, man.
yeah, Singer's, and like plus
I'm
like,
good.
to be honest, he had like a lot of problems backstage, like behind the scenes.
Oh my gosh, so
And
many. Like nobody wants to touch him anymore.
no one wants to touch him. Even Sophie Turner had a previous incident with him, and she felt uncomfortable. And even Remy Malek, when he was filming Bohemian Rhapsody, which people forget that it was directed by Bryan Singer.
I
A
completely
lot of
forget.
shit. Yeah, it's a lot of shit behind it, even though it's such a great film. I don't know if there was a, fight between like ideas and it was transitioned to another director, but like it is Bryan Singer's film, like in the end. I'm just like, I'm happy the X-Men franchise to wrap this part up. It's like, I'm really happy it's just done. We do have a taste of New Mutants, but if it's under Disney slate and they still have to do their reshoots, we mentioned that last week, but RIP X-Men, thank you. That whole thing, we're going to get a reboot eventually. But who knows if it's in phase 4? But this next tidbit is your profession right here. Swamp Thing, probably like a week and a half in or 2 weeks.
Oh man.
It actually got canceled. So it originally was going to go for a 13 episode run, and it was dropped to 10. But like some outlets weren't really giving a reason why this was canceled. But Keanu, I know you're like the master on this like tidbit, but it's kind of like a weird thing to talk about because today, even James Wan posted on Instagram saying he doesn't really know what happened, but his quote was, "Don't really know or understand why Swamp Thing was canceled, but I can tell you this: all the cast and crew and producing and writing team poured their hearts into this. Really proud of everyone's hard work. Go watch episode 2 and immortalize these 10 episodes. Swampy deserves it." And that's true. But Keanu, like, what's the nitty gritty of this situation of the cancellation?
So there's like it's like a huge thing. There's a number of different things at play. There was a big rumor that it was due to a faulty tax break. It was due to misfiling in the North Carolina where it's filmed at film office. But then the person in charge of the North Carolina film office responded, and he was like, "Listen, I don't know where this is coming from, but we've only ever given like 14. We only have a budget of giving out 14 million in rebates to people filming here, to films filming here. So I don't know where you guys got this idea that it was due to us, but don't look at us."
Was the budget too big, or was it just at the wrong area?
No, so here's the thing is like AT&T bought Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
AT&T sucks, and so now a lot, all of the, and it's something that's going to have a rippling effect across a lot of areas.
A lot of businesses.
HBO was also bought by AT&T, I believe. I don't know if it was a part of the same. I think HBO was owned by DirecTV, or it was bought by AT&T. So like HBO, the DC universe, and a couple of the other stuff that AT&T acquired. AT&T is like, look, we need to start like cutting budgets, start cutting this, and let's like try to make money. The suits are at it again. So the idea behind the cancellation, because there is no direct answer, the idea is that it was too expensive for AT&T's taste. The film, I mean, you can tell. Like when I talked about the first episode with you, like the production quality is amazing. The cinematography looks like it looks like I'm watching a film. The costume design, Swamp Thing looks crazy. It looks like a film. Looks like it was released in the films. That quality. The CGI is really good. The CGI is not CW level, and CW even pulls off some really good effects. Like the CGI is top notch. Like in my opinion, Game of Thrones level CGI. So the idea is, that type of budget on a show that's only on DC Universe, that's only on an app that's still trying to find its legging.
Not sustainable.
It's just like they don't want to spend that money. They don't want to spend that money. I almost wish that, they would just renew it for like HBO or something. Like make out a deal with somebody else. because the show's that good. But apparently they've already started like getting rid of sets and all that. So
Oh no.
yeah, so like the nail is pretty much in that coffin.
I mean, it just sucks to hear that a show's canceling, especially from off of the first episode, because it doesn't drive people to watch it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
So they're like, why would I get invested? Especially because
That's
run
one
that.
side of people. That's one side of people. Like hearing it, I do want to watch it. But like I'm saying for the general audience, it's like it's kind of like, oh, this got canceled. This must mean it sucks, you know?
Yeah, true, yeah.
And it's a shame. It just like you said with comparing to CW shows, it does look like it looks like a movie. Like it does look like a movie. Like the previews, the prosthetics, like they're actual costumes. Like it looked like it was based on The Thing, you know? And you've seen an episode and you loved it. You were telling me the same thing. Like it looks high budget. Is this too good to be true? It happened to be, too good to be true, and it's a goddamn shame because this was probably the top. Well, I can't really name a bunch of shows, but this was going to be the top, DC streaming service show at like now and probably down the line. But I was hearing weird things too, like. I mean, don't take this serious, like what I'm about to say, but I heard things like, oh, they didn't have like a vision to like sustain the show. And I really didn't agree with that because I'm like, all right, you're one season deep. So like, why would you start something if you didn't have
Right.
like a fucking, at least like a 5-season, 3-season plan, Like,
And the
that's why
thing
I
is,
didn't
like,
believe it.
this is based on a comic. Like, you could just,
Exactly.
if worse comes to worse, you just pick
You
a
got
comic book.
material. Yeah. That's it. It's not that hard. And I like, how are they, okay, so it already, one, it's canceled. 2, you lost 3 episodes, so now you have to wrap it up into 10. But how's it? Is this gonna? Do you have to reshoot this like ending, or? Because I'm assuming they already have it done.
Yeah,
like they're done.
yeah.
So it's like, are they gonna do reshoots and just like shoehorn something, pull a Game of Thrones season 8 on us, and really like cram everything in?
Well, that's what I'm nervous about. That's the biggest thing I'm nervous about.
Yeah.
Is like getting invested in these really great early episodes, and less the cancellation and more when they were forced to cut from 13 to 10. I'm nervous about when it gets to episode 9. All of a sudden, like all the great pacing goes to shit, and then 10 is just like bah, 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 bah. Like I'm nervous about that. So I'm really hoping that the reduction was known early enough that they were able to just fine tune and just kind of cut some of the excess fat off and reduce it down to 10. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe cut out some of the middle parts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes
there's
like
filler.
Like
sometimes.
Netflix Marvel was we've talked about this before, was responsible of that. It would have a really great first act. Second act will start to get a little like draggy as they try to fill up the 13, and then the third act would be like, all right, we're back to the action.
Yeah,
so
it's like Luke Cage was like that. So.
Yeah, so my dream, the dream scenario is they filmed a bulk of it, and they just cut out the middle access part. And you have a really solid beginning, and of course you would want a solid middle, but like a solid beginning and ending. But I'm nervous. I'm nervous about that, and I'm also nervous about it ending on a cliffhanger, only to have it not renewed. I'm hoping that it's I'm hoping it's one of those finales where it's like it wraps it up enough that it's just satisfying. And of course, there's like hints about what could have happened in the next season, but it's nothing like cliffhangery. So we'll see. But it's such a shame. It's such a shame that it was canceled this early on when it was doing such a critically. Everyone was really responding well. We don't know the numbers for the streaming service, but it's a shame.
That's what I hate about streaming services. They don't give out their numbers, like their stats, like especially Netflix. Netflix is so in the dark. You don't know what's an actual success. I'm gonna use the term. We just got Game of Thrones because season 8 got rushed, and I think like you say 9 and 10, and there could be a possibility that it'll be a good thing, like we said in Marvel Netflix. Like we think the Netflix shows could have been at least like 8 episodes, 8 to 9. It is scary because this is like how DC Universe works. If you guys don't have it, it gets released weekly, so it's like week by week a new episode. I feel like Game of Thrones, like episode 3 was the part I started to worry. I'm like,
that's where I'm laughing at. Like if you look at the chart, if you look at the Metacritic or
it started to drop. Yeah. So it's like, are we gonna see that shift down like episode 5, 6? Like it can even come earlier. You
Yeah.
know, so it is scary.
Stop scaring.
But yet again, like where I'm assuming the men in suits plan. There's a reason for 13 episodes. You know, like hopefully they really plan it out. And 10, like where's 10 come from? Like I don't know what the budget is, and see, there's so many things
That's what
behind the scenes.
that's what makes me worried is like, was it like they were on episode 10 and then the 8 and then like the suits came in and were like, all right, that's it, we're not giving you any more money, because that's what it sounds like. That's what, that sounds like they were in the middle of filming 10 of 13, and then they got the notice and they were like, yeah, nope, you're done. And they had and I'm afraid that the end of 10 is just gonna, like, the last 30 minutes is just gonna be like completely different, just like 2-3 episodes worth of stuff pushed into the end of 10.
Yeah, so I got a new term. They just got Tom Kinged, and they had to get their they had to get their run short, and so it's like, I mean, it just sucks because this hasn't really. See, this hasn't really affected DC Universe overall because they were on a quote for this news, and they said that we've got a lot of exciting plans for other shows in the works, like Harley Quinn we mentioned.
So they say.
And we look forward to sharing more in the coming months. But I don't know.
There's always a rumor that, I mean, it's been ever since AT&T bought them. There's been the rumor that DC Universe will get cut out, and they're going to just take all that content and put it on a Warner Brothers exclusive, like a Warner Brothers Netflix. There's Disney Plus, there's Netflix, and it's like bullshit like CBS Access. And now there's rumors that Warner Brothers, AT&T is going to make a Warner Brothers Plus, or whatever, and it's going to take all of it. So they would like get rid of Boomerang, get rid of DC Universe, and just put everything under one streaming service, which actually sounds like a good idea, but
yeah, what are your thoughts?
But I'm worried about cost. I'm worried about losing some of the niche shows like Swamp Thing and Doom Patrol.
The comic stuff.
And lose the comics. I'm worried about them putting it under one umbrella, and that one umbrella being primarily a Netflix of Warner Brothers, and it not producing new content and not producing fun new content. So it's I don't know. It's a neat idea, but it's
because this is the thing. If the focus, like you said, I agree with the niche idea. Because if it goes under Warner Bros.'s wing for this streaming service, it's gonna the focus and the money is gonna be compartmentalized into different things. So these properties that we are dreaming of, like let's say even Titans or Young Justice, like that's not going to be getting more of a focus. It's probably going to be more original live action content like Netflix, like these new live action shows that aren't like property related, like or hero related.
Yep.
So that is going to be the downfall, but it would save some shows like Swamp Thing and some of the DC properties. I can't deny that. I'm trying to think of like WB properties that are also linked under WB, like movie wise. Like what's under WB? Like I'm gonna have to look that up. Because I think it's still limited. Because okay, if Disney bought Marvel and Fox, like what is left for WB to obtain besides they're gonna get pushed against the wall to have to make their own content.
DC, Warner Brothers, DC content, Harry Potter, Lego, Godzilla, The Matrix, Rocky, Sherlock Holmes. I mean, these aren't even like, as you get down the list, it stops being franchises and just a couple films. Hanna-Barbera, Scooby-Doo, that type of stuff. Like I would say their biggest pillars is DC, Harry Potter, like Hanna-Barbera, Scooby-Doo. And then a couple of horror franchise, a couple of horror films.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Looney Tunes and all that.
And then, Looney Tunes, yeah.
So, especially when they establish the monster universe, that could possibly be a thing. But it's like it's too early for it to fruition into what the climate's going to be of streaming, especially with Apple, which I don't think is going to be that successful.
Oh, me neither.
They, as much as they want to put like Spielberg behind it and show Oprah having her own thing, I don't think the demographic would really want to. It's already too late, I think, and they don't have any exclusives. So, you mean I'm not going to be sold by Jason Momoa having his own show to get fucking Apple Plus or whatever.
Yeah, all of their exclusives just sound like they're driven by celebrities.
Yes.
It's like they went to celebrities and were like, "Hey, you want to have a show?"
Yeah.
And it's like, as a consumer, unless I love that celebrity, which everyone has a couple celebrities they love, but they're not going to love enough to justify subscribing to Apple TV.
Yeah, but I'm like, well, now that I'm hearing like the properties they own, Warner Bros. Does have a decent standing, but like longevity wise, like Harry Potter's not really going to be getting any more besides Fantastic Beasts, which I think is going to be a wrapping up of the trilogy. But like animated wise, like I think they're going to be coming in hot, but I don't see the appeal to the typical audience member besides ourselves, really. To really like what's gonna sell them. And like, so like you have CBS All Access, like what sold you besides Twilight Zone to really get that? Because CBS you don't think of as a streaming service, but
yeah, no,
Twilight
I mean
Zone.
it was just Twilight Zone, and I just canceled it like yesterday.
Like,
it was only for Twilight Zone, and it was because I love that franchise.
Exactly.
That was it. Canceled it. I mean, I heard I've heard critically good things about the Star Trek show on there. And I wanted, there was actually another show I wanted to check out, but I just didn't have the time. Maybe one day I'll pick up another subscription just to watch a bunch of their shows. But I only got it for Twilight Zone, and that's it. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I was willing to pay for.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I mean, streaming services. We've probably talked about this so many times because it's just the future. I don't know. I want DC Universe to be its own thing. I think it's great, and it will become like greater. It's just, like I told you this last week. It just needs to snowball a little bit and like get its bearings in, and like Swamp Thing. It's a damn shame because like how's that going to affect other? Like, you think it's going to affect other properties? Like, I mean, like in general in Hollywood, like how they do business with locations.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I mean.
There has to be some sort of like oversight with this.
They're already
bullshit.
leaving, whatever. Was it Carolina? Georgia with the whole,
was it North Carolina or Georgia?
Well, this was filmed in North Carolina, but I'm just saying in general, like they're already shifting out of the South because of legislation and all that. So I think in general, there's just a migration back to studio sets, back to the people were saying like Canada and stuff. So I definitely think that we'll see in time a big shift as we're seeing. I think we're already seeing it. I think we'll see even more of a big shift away from the South.
Yeah. So we'll move on. This is from Margot Robbie herself, coming from Vogue, that she's going to confirm that Birds of Prey is R-rated, and she's pretty like sure about it. She was quoted saying, "I think there's a perception that a PG female-led action film is kind of considered a chick flick. That's an interesting point, but it's a shame to think so many young girls will be unable to see these badass female heroes in action. Regardless, with a budget of $75 million, according to Robbie, Warner Bros. Can certainly afford to take a risk, and the rating with the addition of primarily female cast and crew means that the lead character won't be dressed in a sort of skimpy outfit like we saw in Harley Quinn in the first Suicide Squad." Great. I mean, they're being bold, and I don't want them to follow Marvel at all. I mean, DC's been killing it. What are your thoughts on Birds of Prey? I'm not really excited.
I'm so uninterested.
Yeah, and Suicide Squad 2, that's kind of the same thing, but if you like, a more of a mixed group of sexes. And plus, WB's skipping Comic-Con this year, so it's like I think they need to like reconsider themselves and get their shit together and just like think of their plan. Because I'm hearing like a lot of rumors about Joker, like the fact that it's a standalone movie. I've been hearing like weird things of like the story's kind of going away that we didn't expect, like Joker being Bruce Wayne's stepbrother or something like that. Like it's just like there's a lot of rumors on it, and it's just kind of been picking up heat. Birds of Prey bring radar, sure. I mean, I'm not really the demographic.
I don't think it needs to be rated R. Like why? Like why? What are you gonna get out of that? I would be interested. I'm not. It's not that I'm not interested in it because it's female led. Like I'm very interested in these characters. Well, most of them anyway. Like the reason I'm not interested in it is because one, I feel like it's just like Harley Quinn down our throats. 2, it doesn't need to be R rated. 3, it's not the full Birds of Prey. It's like some of the Birds of Prey with Harley Quinn. and it's just like, why don't you make why don't you make an actual adaptation? Why don't you make an actual, you know, yeah, I don't. It's just, it just feels like it's.
It's funny because you said Harley Quinn's getting shoved down our throats. I completely agree because they're trying to make her put her character in the light, like fucking Mystique, like we talked about last week. Like they're trying to like make this character who is written to be a piece of shit, like Joker, and put her in the light and just make her more human. But Harley Quinn's a psychopath, and it's like, I guess you can change the lore and adapt it to our times, but I mean, she's a character. I think that she doesn't need the focus, because we need to focus on the trilogy, the Trinity first.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, get your characters and the priorities together. Because remember, they wanted to do a Nightwing, they wanted to do a Batgirl with Joss Whedon, but Joss Whedon kind of just doesn't do that anymore.
He just dipped out.
Yeah, he dipped, and you already sucked the life out of Ben Affleck for directing Batman. I mean, I'm not sold on DC 100%, but like they're doing great things. Like, yeah, I mean, the movies are good. They're like decent. Like, I thought Aquaman was fun. Wonder Woman is probably the best one, but it's not like, if I had to compare it to a Marvel movie, I'm like, all right, it's not gonna be up that high with like a Marvel movie. I don't know. I just all I'm like, okay, this is the only thing I'm eyeing from DC, Batman, and that's it. Like, I'm not really.
I want
else.
Green Lantern Corps. I want like Lethal Weapon Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah, that's one of the plans too.
But like, are they going to make it? Are they actually going to make it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was announced back when they announced all these other films, and now it's like they don't know. They're like it's twiddling their thumbs. Like, maybe we'll make this. Maybe we'll make that. You know, like, I don't know.
It's the fucking men in suits. Like, that's the problem.
Those damn suits, man.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't establish their universe like what Marvel did. You know, having their core four, and then throw a little garnish of Black Widow and Hawkeye. You know.
But that's what amazes me, is the fact that like Justice League has every character is a heavy hitter. It's not like the Avengers. Like the Avengers, like we talked about before, Iron Man was B tier. Captain America was B tier. Like these were characters that were only known to the comic audience. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And people knew Spider-Man, people knew Wolverine, X-Men. Those were the big heavy hitters. But DC, the Justice League, is literally the defining superhero. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Those are huge names. And then even the other three, or four, depending on what league you're looking at, those are, they're B plus. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Iron Man was B back in the day, Green Lantern, The Flash, those were B plus. Like, those were well known. Exactly, those were A minus, B plus. And why is it that we have, why is it that they're twiddling their thumbs and just kind of like, we'll make a Birds of Prey movie, we'll make a Suicide Squad movie. Like, why?
Because they're a bunch of bandwagoners, just a bunch of bandwagoners, and like because the Joker, it really sold it, and Harley, and like, hats off to Margot Robbie, you did a great job, but it's like, it's just not that type of character that needs that focus, and it's like a shame.
Yep.
And if they want to do a female action movie, like, that's fine, but I think it's a little too early. Like, right now, it's too early. We don't have an established universe. Is Ezra Miller gonna stay? I heard
no. I think nobody's staying at this point. Besides,
I think they want to reboot
Momoa besides Momoa and Gal. Yeah. Besides those two, I think everybody else is getting kicked.
Because someone was throwing rumors around. Not really a rumor. It was like a drawing, but it wasn't Boss Logic. But they were like throwing around the guy that played Havoc in X-Men First Class. Barry Allen, which I would sell it, because one, we already have a blonde guy going. But I did like Ezra Miller's take, and even though Justice League didn't have its formula like Marvel, they could have still pulled it off. Because listen, I have proof you can do it with a movie. It's called Guardians of the Galaxy. And we care about those characters after one movie. So it's like, it's possible. It's just like, you have to have like, passion behind the lens and your vision. But I'm kind of mad they went with Zack Snyder to start off, because like, he's only more visual than he actually directs. So like 300, okay. 300 was liked because like famous because of one line. It's like, this is Sparta. And
this is Sparta.
Yeah, and that's it. And like, the guys were extremely jacked with these like crazy workouts. But like, besides that, it was just like a popcorn like action movie. Nothing more. It wasn't gonna like stand out. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I'm just, my focus is on Batman. That's it. And I don't know. DC still has a lot to prove, but streaming service wise, I love it. Like, that's great. Like the stuff on the sides, the shows are great. That's where they're killing Marvel. They're beating them in shows. But like now that Marvel can hold their ground. But like, let's see how it goes with post Defenders and like without the new guy, Daredevil and all them being there. So like we'll move on. Like X-Men the animated series might come back. So according to the THR, the creative team behind the hit animated series from the 90s is planning to approach Disney about bringing back the beloved show. And they said the one thing we'd like to do more than anything else is continue where we left off. So X-Men ran from 1992 to 97 with 76 episodes and 5 seasons. I would dream to have this, but I'm not sure. But because I think this is like the perfect climate for it to come back into Disney Plus. But what do you think your chances are that coming back?
Like you said, I'd love to have it. Love to have it.
Might
I think
not
this
be
is
ideal.
99% sure not happening. Because it's just the crew. It's just the crew going, "Hey, can we do this?" It's just the crew going like, "Hey, like we think this would be a neat idea," but what incentive does Disney have to pay them to do it? You know what I'm saying? It's a neat idea, but I don't see this going anywhere.
I mean, and plus, like, how much, like, they already covered so many storylines too. And if you're saying we're gonna pick up where we left off, you have like a whole nother demographic of people that didn't watch the show, so like they would have to dig it, go back to the '90s show and really just find out what happened. But like yet again, we don't like doing that, and I think Hollywood's more in favor of a reboot of anything.
Yeah.
And if you want the X-Men '90s coming back, go to the comic book version that's on what's it called, Secret Wars, like that whole saga. They had their own X-Men spinoff, the '90s edition. But it's a dream to me. We'll see how it goes. Probably unlikely, but I do dream of X-Men the animated series because that was like a close thing to our heart as kids, especially Fox kids.
Yeah, I think that show was like the theme song, like it was rad. It was. I think that's the best way to summarize it. It was rad.
See, they need to have the theme song for the new reboot. They have to drop that. Like how they dropped the Spider-Man theme in the Marvel Studios logo, they should have the fucking X-Men theme. And yeah, I agree. I would die for that. So like we'll move on from that. Miss Marvel, she's actually having in talks, and Mindy Kaling actually was talking to Marvel about bringing up her big screen, breakout. So Mindy Kaling was quoted saying, "I think people I've spoken to at Marvel are about it and are excited about the character, and I think they're trying to figure out what to do with it, and I told them I would help in any way possible because I truly love her," Kaling reveals. But they seemed really interested, and I think they probably will do something. So, Kevin Feige's all about diversity at this point. Shang-Chi's coming out. Captain Marvel had our first female-led movie, but is this going to... Even the possibility of Disney Plus, this going to Disney Plus, Mindy Kaling's for it, but maybe her and Riz Ahmed, and every different Desi actor are very excited to like really see Miss Marvel come, and I'm excited. Maybe I don't know about her own movie. Maybe they can throw her into a Captain Marvel sequel. But like, what are your thoughts on the Miss Marvel movie coming out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're ready for a movie, but I think a TV show. I think a Disney Plus show would be great. I think it's too early for her to be in a movie as well. If anything, it would be like the third Captain Marvel. You know what I'm saying? I just think she's a legacy character, and it's too early. Her Miles, like it's just a little too early, unless it's like a TV show.
Well, because that's the thing, we have a lot of characters to establish. Early. Yeah, we have a lot of characters still to establish past Iron Man and all them. Like I know Miss Marvel. Yeah, she's not like. This is kind of like the Harley Quinn like thing we were referring to. It's like it's not needed, but
right. Like it would be for representation's sake. It would be cool, but it's just like there's other. I don't know, man. Like Moon Knight. Like just I don't know. Like it's not the same thing, but just if we want more people of color, like we should get Moon Knight before we get Miss Marvel, just because the character is a legacy character. It's someone passing their legacy on. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that should be a focus, and like we need a Blade movie down the line or something that's like or even like the Midnight Suns, like I don't even know what's gonna go on with Punisher and stuff because there's so many characters still left. We still have the Fantastic Four, we still have X-Men. We're getting Eternals, which is still a growing thing, but Miss Marvel happening and Mindy Kaling, I'm like hats off to her for even bringing this up because
Yeah,
the
definitely.
more diversity, the better. But like, let it be natural. You know what I mean? Like, let's establish this universe and continue to build it and hold everyone instead of like having politics involved and like just getting for like diversity right away. You know what I mean? So this like last tidbit is about Fantastic Four. So GWW has heard that the studio is eyeing to release a 2022 Fantastic Four reboot, and they're eyeing Ant-Man director Peyton Reed campaigning to helm the project. Reed has previously expressed interest in the property, pitching a 60s setting. So that's not, yeah, I've heard that too, like Peyton Reed being thrown around. So if they were actually here to release a 2002 setting, we currently have dates of February 18th, May 6th, July 16th. So, will there be something at Comic-Con this year? I'm not sure. But like, Keanu, do you think it's like early to reboot it already? Like since like the Josh Trank version being so fucking bombed and bad.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Just because it was that bad, and because
they would know it's under. They would know it's under Marvel's hands at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Like I think this is one of the few franchises that is this would be a third reboot, and people would be okay with it, and they'd be ready to watch it.
Yeah, I think this is kind of obvious that this would happen before X-Men, because obviously X-Men's like fresh off the release. But
right.
Okay, but remember Feige said like, oh, at least 5 years. So like is he gassing us up? Like, but yet again, this is a rumor, and this is like picking up steam. And Peyton Reed was thrown in, but I don't know if I want Peyton Reed to direct it, to be honest.
I don't know. I think he'd be a good choice. I think.
You think so?
Yeah, because I think he's what the Fantastic Four needs to have a good film. Like I think
like a goofy Ant-Man vibe.
Yeah, like just a smidge more serious than Ant-Man, and I think he can do it. I think, but like a smidge more serious than Ant-Man.
Yeah,
because Ant-Man isn't just funny; it's also like lighthearted, and it's also like, it's family oriented, like him and Cassie, and Hope, and Hank, and Janet, like that. The whole thing is about family. It's a fun, lighthearted family film. When I think of Fantastic Four, that's what we need, a fun, lighthearted family film.
Yeah, and they're Marvel's first family, so that's what they should focus on. It's a family, like in the end, Yeah. Besides Johnny and Sue. I'm just trying to think of casting at this point.
And I think the biggest question is, do they make it an origin film? Right? That's the big
great question.
Because it's one of those things where like they're not as well known and they're not as repeated as the Batman origin and Spider-Man origin. So like Spider-Man origin is done so many times that when Marvel got it, they didn't have to do the origin story. Like people got it, and technically, this Spider-Man Homecoming was the third, or it would have been the third origin story. And for Fantastic Four, technically speaking, this would be the third origin story. So it's like, on one hand, it's got the same amount of origin stories in film in the last 2 decades as Spider-Man, and Marvel got away without doing an origin film for that. So it's like, okay, maybe they could do that. But then at the same time, it's like, oh, but Fantastic Four isn't as well known as Spider-Man, and also, Doom, and like it's just it is a really good storyline to set up, like working with Doom or Doom, seeing them gain powers. Like it's an interesting storyline that hasn't been done that great. But the question is, do they do it again, or do they avoid it due to fear of repetition?
Well, that's the thing. You do run the fear of repetition, but if they did just show up and it was like in the not an origin story, like where were they the whole time? So it's like, were they in the negative zone, or
I feel like they would have to either.
So if they had it in a 60 setting and they're in a negative zone, and then they were like came out in like 2022. Yeah,
I like that idea, but then it makes me a little nervous because we just did that with Hope.
Ant-Man. Ant-Man. Yeah.
Like it actually, I feel like that's I feel like that is a really great idea, but it just makes me a little nervous of repetition.
Yeah, because we just introduced the quantum realm.
Right.
So
negative zone as well, directed by the same guy, telling the same story. You know what I'm saying? Like
you're treading the same beats. Okay, so if we didn't go that way, what if the multiverse plays a role?
I don't. I got to be honest. I don't really
think
want
it's
the
too
multiverse
ambitious,
to play.
though.
I don't want it to play a role in like any characters. I want the multiverse to play a role only in like a single character's introduction. I don't like the X-Men, the Fantastic Four. I want them to be from our main universe. I think one of the
Yeah,
biggest
exactly.
defining traits of the MCU is that it's all one universe.
Hmm.
And that's not to say multiverse doesn't make it interesting, or the multiverse doesn't mean that it's not the same storyline. But I just feel like one of the biggest things of the Avengers when it first came out was like, oh my gosh, it's like all these characters in the same storyline, in the same Earth, in the same area. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really. I mean, I would love to see them explore the multiverse, but I want them character wise to be derived from our main universe.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea in my opinion. I see. I don't think we should fuck with the multiverse unless it's like an Avengers crossover film. Like
I
that's
agree.
just like it's like those main runs like Secret Wars. Like that's a main run right there where everything's colliding. Um, like even if it's just the X-Men, like Fantastic Four, X-Men 2, how are we gonna do that? Like I've made theories in my own mind where like Charles Xavier put himself in a coma because he wiped out every human's mind of like the thoughts of like mutants, and like he just wakes up, and this is like when people start to remember what mutants are, and like they've been here the whole time. Like that's just my theory. I just don't know how they're gonna introduce it. Obviously they are the men in suits, but these are men in nice suits that
Big facts. Big
that
facts.
are getting piecing this together. Yeah, it's like, remember this is a rumor. Peyton Reed. I agree with what you said, and you are convincing me that like a little bit more seriousness would help. And I think audiences are smarter nowadays, and they're not just like stupid, especially if they're like our age. Like they know when to look at the internet, and they can tell the difference. Like, oh, Marvel Studios, or they'll read it somewhere like on Snapchat news. Like there's some way that they're gonna know that it's under Marvel Studios, and I'm not really worried about that. It's just like I'm thinking about casting, and I'm thinking about directing, and I'm thinking about how they're gonna work this out, because this is so pivotal. Because Doctor Doom is so pivotal, and this is gonna like reverberate throughout the whole universe. So obviously, this is a huge thing. Uh, so we're gonna go into bonus round. Tarantino was like interviewed, and his favorite Marvel movie is Thor Ragnarok, which is pretty interesting to hear. And he says he hasn't been keeping up to date with everything, but he did watch Wonder Woman and Black Panther, and he has watched Captain America: Civil War, and he's about to watch Doctor Strange because he wants to watch Endgame. And Thor Ragnarok was actually the last movie he saw, and he said it was one of his favorites since the Avengers, and drastically my favorite. So I think that's pretty cool. Tarantino embracing Marvel and hero culture, because a lot of directors just give it shit because they're kind of jealous that it's making so
Yep.
much money.
Yep. Yep.
And coming from Tarantino, who's such a bold man and does his own things, he's not like acting like, let's say, who was shit and
James Cameron.
Cameron, yeah, Cameron was shit talking, and he was shit. James Cameron was shit talking Aquaman. He's like, so they just levitate in water? That's like not normal. I'm like, it's a comic book movie, man. Like, a little bit of disbelief is something like you need to throw in there.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on like Tarantino thinking Thor Ragnarok, which is a smart choice, as his favorite?
Yeah, no, I literally like exactly what you said. I'm like, it's nice to see another director be like, yeah, man, this is cool. Like,
Mm-hmm.
uh, in addition to Cameron, like we love David Harbour, and he's literally going to be in Black Widow. But like he also was kind of like, hey, listen, he was like, oh, people really like Marvel movies, like they expect Marvel movies. Like it seems like everyone likes to immediately when something's in doubt, or they just want to like talk about today's cinema, they want to be like, oh, Marvel movies are like dumbing us down. Marvel movies are like always the same movie. Even like it seems like that's something that directors and actors like to do. So it's nice to see another director be like, yeah, nah, these movies are fun. I like this movie.
Yeah, it's just I'm just really appreciate that Tarantino takes the time, and especially big movies like for pop culture wise, Wonder Woman and Black Panther, those are huge. I'm glad he took the time to see it. So we're gonna go down to Loki. So Feige was at like another meeting, or he was presenting something, and they pretty much showed the official Loki symbol, and it showed Tom Hiddleston in a like 1970s setting because he's on Earth with Jaws on a theater poster behind him. So like rumors before was going around the show saying Loki was going through time, altering major events in history. So it was cool to see that. There was a rumor also that they might have Captain America like show up in it because he does have to get the stones back, and people were talking about him talking to Loki to give him back the space stone. So, like, if no one knows, this is post Endgame. So Loki did take the space stone. He made his own time ripple. I'm assuming. Loki
Is it gonna be like, I know that they said Tom Hiddleston would be in it, but then there was a rumor that he would just be narrating. Like, so is it him? Because like in the blurry image, it looks like Loki, but you can't tell that it's blurry, so you can't tell that it's his face.
That's true.
And I'm fine with him transforming. Like, I'm fine with him shape shifting throughout episodes, but I still want to have that connecting tissue, that connecting thread of like after a transformation, he goes back, and when he's like alone by himself, he goes back to his normal look, so we can see Tom. Like, I just feel like I do want Tom in it.
Yeah, the thing is, if it's a Loki series, like, what's gonna be the antagonist against Loki? Like, that's
or
the part.
Does he have one?
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, he's gonna change human history, but yet again, it's not gonna affect the main MCU timeline. I'm assuming because he made a branched reality. I'm not sure. I can't.
Unless this is like showing, unless he's not altering it to the point where he's messing with our like maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
See, it's a fucking mind bender that I'm still thinking about Endgame, and like, plus Steve, what the hell did he do? Like, the directors aren't having a main consensus of like how they think about the time jump and stuff, and like, did Steve make his own timeline, or did Steve just like chill and his ramifications were very minimal, which I just can't buy that. I don't understand.
I feel like that makes I feel like for my own sake, I like that version the most. Like, I just like the version of him going back
the
to
second
our
one,
main.
I said, right?
Yeah, like I just like him going back to our timeline and then being like, well, there's another me that's gonna do the battles that we have to take. So I'm just gonna live my life.
It's actually pretty funny because on Peggy's funeral, someone showed the scene and there's an old guy in the back carrying the coffin with them.
I saw that picture, yeah.
And it could be him. But it's like, if you're gonna go back in time, all right, I get the rule. If you return the stones, whatever happens, it goes back to our original like timeline. It's like everything's safe. But like, you're telling me like if Steve went back and even being secretly married to Peggy would alter so much, and you're telling me you guys didn't have kids like that whole time you guys were together? I have so many questions. So many questions. I'm so fucking like, this is the thing. We're gonna find out eventually, I'm sure. Whatever. Fuck it. Just remember, folks, Disney Plus launches on November 12th. It's gonna come in hot with Avengers Endgame and The Mandalorian. That's gonna be sick. But Loki doesn't. Loki doesn't have a release date, so Captain America, Falcon, and Winter Soldier are gonna be the first ones coming out in the summer.
I think it'll be them and then Loki.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I wonder how much time they're gonna be spaced out. I'm just kind of curious about that. Uncharted, they actually, according to the Hollywood Reporter, they have a release date of December 18th, 2020, and they're having Tom Holland. Yeah, Tom Holland set as Nathan Drake, and the director of 10 Cloverfield Lane. So I smell a horrible video game adaptation, even though it's Tom Holland involved. But I really don't see Tom Holland as Nathan Drake more than I have Mark Wahlberg. Like, it's like, I don't know. And like, okay, so if we're going to put this in context, like, what's opening when Uncharted's released? You have Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. You have Coming to America with the 2 in the middle with Eddie Murphy. Yeah. Spielberg's like, what? I'm like, no, it's a sequel. Cruella from Disney. Universal's The Croods 2. Okay, so it's not like a strong lineup of movies, which is
But Cruella will sweep the deck.
Yeah, Cruella will sweep. That's the only main one I can see.
And then there might be like...
small, I don't know. Coming to America might not be that big. Yeah,
like a small thing, like a small like cult classic. Like some people might go watch it.
Yeah, Croods. I've never seen it. I've heard of it.
I heard it got good ratings.
That's with like the caveman, right?
Yeah. Nicolas Cage, I think, is one of them.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think that's miscasted. They said a young Nathan Drake. He doesn't act like him.
My thing is like, okay, so I played every game. I played them multiple times. Here's my thing. Like, okay, I think he actually is a good Nathan Drake from the flashbacks of part 3, but like the only time you see young Nathan Drake is the flashback of part 3, and then a little bit of part 4 but he's even younger back then. And it's like, I don't care about that. Like, it was fun in the game, and it was a fun thing to see in the third game after you've been invested with Nathan for 3 games. But I don't want a movie about young Nathan Drake. I want a movie about Nathan Drake as a grown ass man. I want a Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones-esque Nathan Drake played by, I mean, obviously we all want Nathan Fillion, but if we can't be him, I just want an adult Nathan Drake.
Yeah, like, why? If you're gonna do a young Nathan Drake, do it like the fucking video game where it's like a 2-minute scene.
Right, exactly. Like, I don't need a movie about it. Why? I don't care about that.
You're already like putting the standard so low because like we start off with Nathan Drake in the same age he is in the whole fucking series, and
Grown ass man.
And like, who are we gonna cast? So obviously Sully's gonna. I don't even know if he's gonna meet Sully. Like, wait.
No, he has to meet Sully because he doesn't.
Yeah, he does learn. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna have a young Sully, and they're not gonna have. I don't. Like, what material are they gonna use to hark back to for like
exactly
the story?
Like,
that's the thing.
It's so stupid.
Because all the flashbacks in the game were harking to the story of the current game, so
right.
they were needed. Fuck, like, it sucks because it's like I don't obviously video games don't have a good view. I'm praying Mortal Kombat fucking kills it, and we talked about it. Like, we just, it's like minor tweaks. They should go balls to the wall. They have to have the fucking theme song. Like, that would be a missed opportunity. But I'm not excited for Uncharted, and you summed it up. Meh. Best way to sum it up.
Legit.
So, like, we'll move on from it. Fuck it. Wonder Woman 1984 images have released. It's kind of like a minor thing, and I think she looks great because she has like the whole fucking armor. And they actually released a new banner, which is obviously not revealing, but it does release June 5th, 2020. And the thing I want to see footage first before it happens, because, you know, Kristen Wiig is Cheetah, so it's like I don't really know how she's. I can't take Kristen Wiig serious, not even after Bridesmaids. Like, it's like, I don't know. Like, I trust DC right now, and it's Patty Jenkins. Like, God bless her, but can lightning strike twice for her? Who knows? I mean, what are your thoughts, man?
You summed it up.
Yeah, summed it up. Yeah,
you summed it up. I mean, that's literally it.
Kristen Wiig, whatever. So we'll move on. Young Thanos was a concept art for Endgame, so it kind of showed a picture of a young Thanos with like Eternals in it. So maybe this was gonna link the Eternals, and this came from artist Ryan Lang via Movie Talk. He shared previously unseen concept art that were either for Infinity War or Endgame. It gives us a look at a very early design of the young Mad Titan and his Eternals family. I kind of forgot that the Eternals movie, like, we know Angelina Jolie's in it and like Rob Stark, but are we gonna notice them in human form or like prosthetics? I mean,
right?
Like,
that's a good. Yeah, I've been wondering that myself.
Because all right. Let me look up Eternals because they kind of look humanoid. Yeah, they look.
Yeah, because I think Thanos is a deviant or whatever it's called. I think he's one of the Titan. Like the messed up ones or something.
Yeah, he was like a freak compared to them, but like
he's a super freak. Super.
But like, he's I don't know. Are the Eternals? I don't know much about the Eternals. It's a fucking problem. Because that's the thing. Because
I think it's the Eternals. I think it's like it's either the Eternals and the Deviants, or like the Eternals are the whole name of them, and there's like the Deviants and like multiple. The regular ones.
Yeah, because like, all right, Thanos is a Titan. Like, there's a lot of things to it, and like he's able to hold an Infinity Stone because he's part of that race of like godlike beings for him to obtain it and hold it in his hand, and snap his fingers and not die. So, whatever, concept art, cool. Bill and Ted Face the Music. So it's going to be so weird to see Keanu Reeves really
back in that mode, like that. Whoa.
Yo, man. Like, whoa. Like, after John Wick, and he's such a badass now for this new generation of people.
And his little resurgence that he got going on. Yeah.
And I'm more than happy to hear it. And they actually casted their daughters, who it's going to be Alex Alex Winter will be played by Bridget Lundy Payne and Samara Weaving. So that's gonna be interesting because I'm wondering, like, are their kids gonna be like them, like radical, dude? Like,
I think that's what
fucking-
they said in the casting. I think they kind of hinted that would be the case.
Fuck yes. I really hope they're just like them, and it's like a fucking full out comedy. You know, like maybe a little family drama, but he's like, "Sorry, daughter," and just like fuck her. Like, so like talk about these girls like. Lundy Payne's credits is atypical in The Glass Castle, while Weaving is best known for her role in The Babysitter from Netflix and Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Whatever, I'm excited. You know, Bill and Ted. I've watched it on Hulu, which is such a great addition, and yeah, that's the main thing I have to say. It's like it's gonna be so weird to see him come out like all comedic and shit because he hasn't done that in a while. The last comedic role he had was a movie that was just released with Ali Wong.
May always be my maybe.
Yeah, which I just saw, and it was pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, people were loving it, man. I gotta watch it just because. I mean, I like Randall Park, and I love Keanu Reeves, but I gotta check it out.
Yeah, Ali Wong is just fucking a beast with their stand up, and I mean, what's Bill and Ted to you?
You know, I've
Did you
actually
grow up?
never seen it.
You've never seen it? Okay, I was about to say like I don't know. If this was like so. This was the only reason I know is because my older brothers. You know, so I don't know if like someone my age like would see it without an older sibling to like show it to them.
I agree.
But like having this come back and with the success of Dumb and Dumber, like, you know, coming back into like modern day, and they're still doing this movie. So maybe they can break that chain and make a good movie. Who knows?
I thought the same thing.
So we'll move on from there. During an interview with Parade, you know, Sigourney Weaver was asked about reuniting with Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd for the new film, and she replied, "It's going to be crazy working with the guys again." So they never really confirmed her, but I'm pretty sure she kind of just put the nail in the coffin. But who knows?
At FanFest this weekend was the big Ghostbusters convention, and they confirmed Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney, and I think they said Ernie Hudson too. Everybody's alive. They all read the script, so like they all got the script, which means they're all written in the script.
Thank
so
God.
It's basically they better CGI Howard Ramis. They better CGI Egon.
That's
what I care about. That's CGI him as a ghost.
That's all. Yes.
Use his leftover audio footage because they recorded so many lines for the Ghostbusters video game. Take some of the recorded voices from the video game, do like they're doing like in Toy Story 4 with Mr. Potato Head, and just use archived footage and archived voices, CGI him as a ghost, and just like add him into the story, like in the beginning and at the end, or just at the end, just have him appear at the end, but have him in the film because it's just such BS that Bill Murray was a dickhead and kept it in like development hell forever, and now all of a sudden they want to make the film after Harold passed, like put him in the movie somehow.
Hold on. No, I'm in complete agreement because I actually when the first news came up for this movie happening, my friend, I asked him like, would you be okay with Harold Ramis to be an actual ghost as a cameo? And he's like, nah, I don't even want to see it. I'm like, because that's the thing. I want it to be like a little 2-minute cameo where at the end of the movie, like they stop the ghost and blah blah blah, all the spirits are flying, and then you see, you know, the ghost come up, Harold Ramis, and like that would be such a touching part. You know what I mean?
And my thing is like for since the movie's been in development for like decades, they've always like about in the mid 2000s or like early 2000s, they basically were like, the only way you're gonna get Bill Murray Bill Murray said the only way you're gonna get him in the movie is to kill him off in the beginning, and I'm like, okay, so here's what we do then: you kill him off in the beginning, and then at the end of the film, you show him and Harold and Egon as ghosts, just like chilling out at the fire station. Like, hey,
that would
like,
bring tears,
right, dude?
That would bring tears.
Come on.
That's what I'm saying. CGI him too. Like when you said that, I was like, I fucking said the same exact thing, and I thought people thought I was crazy, and they thought I would ruin it. They should. And
his daughter, I believe his daughter. They asked him because she's really invested in the franchise. They asked him, they're like, hey, are you okay with them doing that? And he's like, then she was like, yeah, if the fans want it and they do it tastefully, my dad would have been down with it. And
like, it would be the perfect bow to the series if they were to like, you know, even though it's a handoff, but like if it just ended right there, it'd be good. You know,
exactly.
It would have closure.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna find there's our final tidbit: Godzilla versus King Kong. They want to delay it a little bit. so they can give make it A+ for movie fans. And it was originally set to release at Friday, March 13th. So it was kind of released with Invisible Man, other films like Onward and A Quiet Place 2 and Mulan.
Released.
Don't you say that. But I saw Godzilla. It's okay, but if you need to push it back, why not? I'm not really worried about it. We talked about this, the puberty of a fucking monster-sized gorilla. Who knows? He's a teenager. I whatever. It's just whatever. I'm cool with it. What about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the film. If they want to push it a little bit, that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, all right, that's like our last tidbit of the day, so I'm going to wrap it up. Guys, like, this is kind of a late episode. Might be wrapping up a little fast because, it is 9 o'clock and we do want to
Square Enix is about to...
Yeah, it's about to drop. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'm your host, Aaron Gomez, joined by Keanu. Episodes every Monday, usually if I'm not a bum or hungover on Sundays. But anyways, thank you for tuning in, and we love it that you guys are supporting us. Be sure to find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher, finally YouTube. So we'll see you guys next time.